Coming up on Doctype, it's Speed Week. Your visitors want your content and they want it now. Don't make them wait. We'll show you the hot tips to get your site to load so fast you'll smell the rubber burning. So buckle up and ignite the afterburners because it's time for Doctype.
This episode of Doctype is made possible by the Future of Web Apps Miami and Viewpoint.
I'm Nick Pettit.
And I'm Jim Hoskins.
And you're watching Doctype. Whether you're a designer that wants to learn a little bit of coding or a developer that thinks everything they make looks like crap, Doctype is here to show you the latest tips, tricks, and tools to help you take your next project to the next level.
All right, so first I got to thank jellaskins.com for our new digs on the laptop.
They are pretty snazzy, I gotta say. Jim has his red robot, and I have Hakusai's The Great Wave, and they're pretty nice. They stuck to the laptop really easily, and they kind of protect them a little bit, and it's cool for us because normally we would have to clean our laptops every episode, to get all the smudges and stuff off. But now we don't have to do that anymore, so we're very thankful for that.
So check out jellaskins.com.
And if you use the discount code Doctype, you'll get a hot deal.
So Firefox 3.6 got released last week.
That's right.
I gotta admit that I actually haven't had a chance to download it yet. I used to be a diehard Firefox person, but been a bit of a Chrome dome lately, so haven't had the chance.
Jim converted me to Chrome as well.
So what's new in this?
Well, in Firefox 3.6, the thing that I'm most excited about is CSS3 gradients. There's a lot of other features, but I'm just really excited about this because it means, you don't have to really use images for gradients as much anymore, just for Internet
Hopefully
Explorer.
some speed increases across the board.
Yeah, there's some speed increases, lots of other stuff to check out, but CSS3 gradients, I'm really excited about.
Check it out.
Full Miami is coming up next month, so if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, you're going to want to make sure to do that very soon. This episode of Doctype and the next episode are going to be featured on the Think Vitamin blog, so check them out at thinkvitamin.com.
So this week is Speed Week.
That's
all about
right.
getting the content there faster.
It's Speed Week. Let's get into it. Making HTTP requests is really slow. The name of the game is reducing the number of HTTP requests on your page. One way to do this, if your site has a lot of images, is to put all the images into one big image, which is called a sprite map. Once you have your large image or sprite map with all of your sprites in it, you can create a div of the height and width of one of the images in your sprite map, set the sprite map as the background, and position the background with a negative X and Y until the desired sprite lines up. Sure, the image is going to be a little bit bigger, but the slowdown is really in all the HTTP requests. This is a big speed up. CSS and JavaScript should always be in external files. I know it can be tempting to just patch in a little bit of JavaScript or a little bit of CSS here and there, but really you're doing yourself a disservice because you're not taking advantage of the caching mechanisms that are built into browsers. By having your JavaScript and CSS in external files, they can be cached and they don't have to load up every time you load the page. Now, this is just a small tip, but it really makes a big difference. And once you get into the habit of doing it, it's really second nature. The way that you save images in an editor like Photoshop can dramatically impact file sizes, thus the time it takes for web pages to load. In most cases, the .png or PNG format is what you'll want to use. If you need very accurate color reproduction, or if you need a detailed alpha channel for transparency, you'll want to make sure to use a 24-bit PNG. Now, PNGs are good for images with flat colors and patterns, but for photographs and large complex images, a JPEG could give you smaller file sizes without much of a hit to quality. Just be careful to not overcompress images. If your image only needs a few colors, there's no shame in using a GIF. Some might say that GIFs are outdated, but a GIF image can sometimes give you smaller file sizes, especially if you limit the color palette to only the colors you need. Full Miami is coming up really soon. You should come down to Florida and hang out. The Future of Web Apps is back in Miami at the beautiful Colony Theater on South Beach. It's a 3-day event from February 22nd to the 24th and features workshops and presentations from the coolest people in the web industry, like Gary Vaynerchuk of Wine Library TV, Fred Wilson from Union Square Ventures, Sarah Hunt, the author of The Woofy Factor, and John Resig, the creator of jQuery. You'll learn about topics like HTML5, JavaScript, jQuery, and online marketing. Jim and I have attended FOA Miami every year, and we're definitely not going to miss this one. It's going to be awesome. To learn more and get your ticket, check out Carsonified.com.
Want to make your page load even faster? Well, here are some more hot tips. When you load up your page, you want to get the content in front of your visitor as quickly as you can. That's why it's important to put the style sheet includes at the top of your page. That way, as the page is being loaded in, it's already styled. If you put them at the bottom of the page, it's going to look unstyled for a while until it reaches the bottom, and then it's going to snap into style once all the style sheets are loaded. On the flip side, you want to put your JavaScript at the end of the page, right before the closing body tag. The reason for this is when the browser is downloading a JavaScript, it can't do anything else, including download other files or do rendering. And that's because the JavaScript has to be loaded in one by one. So if you put it at the bottom, by the time all that JavaScript loading and blocking comes up, the content is already there, so the user doesn't perceive that as being slow. Now when you put your JavaScript includes at the bottom of the file, you do have to be aware that anywhere you use inline JavaScript, you need to be aware that those external dependencies haven't been loaded yet. So it's sort of a conscious decision, but it's a real big speed boost or perceived speed boost in your page. Browsers have this neat restriction in that you can only have 2 connections open to a host at a given time. That means if you have a bunch of images, you can only download 2 of them in parallel, even if you have a lot of bandwidth. Now one way to hack this is to have multiple domains point to your static content. So for instance, we could have asset1.mysite.com through asset4.mysite.com, and then change the URLs for our static sources to point to these asset domains. Now some frameworks will even offer functionality to automatically map your static resource URLs to the asset domains. But if you roll your own solution, make sure that for any particular resource, it always gets mapped to the same asset host. That way the browser caching can still be utilized. Another big bonus of this is if your asset domains don't have cookies on them, the browser doesn't have to upload all the cookie data when it requests those resources. That's another huge speed boost. There are some things you can do on the server to reduce the amount of load time. One is to use gzip. Gzip can actually reduce the transfer size up to 70%, and that's pretty incredible. About 90% of internet traffic comes from browsers that accept the gzip encoding, so give your users what they want, the smaller transfer sizes. A lot of shared hosts will actually have gzip set up for you, so there's nothing you need to do. Another thing you can do is use the expires header. The expires header tells the browser how long it can hold onto something in the cache before it needs to request it again. If you set it really far in the future, they may only have to download that static asset once, and never again.
Viewpoint is the simplest and most elegant way for creative professionals to present their work to clients. No more emailing images or manually building presentations. Password-protected project galleries keep all your work organized in one place. Organize your files by project, control and gather client feedback, automatically version control your designs, and present images, videos, or flash animations. So whether you're developing a simple website design, an online banner campaign, or a complex web application, Viewpoint easily manages the design review process and keeps everyone on track with getting designs approved. Viewpoint is a hosted web application created by designers from real-world experience. Get your work approved quickly. Get Viewpoint. That's all for this week. Let us know what you think in the comments. Also, check us out at facebook.com/Doctype and follow @DoctypeTV on Twitter.
Also, if you have a question you'd like answered on a future episode of Doctype, send us an email at questions@doctype.tv.
And if you subscribe via RSS or iTunes, you'll never miss an episode of Doctype.
So until next Tuesday, remember that every great web page starts with Doctype.